Welcome back, crafty friends. I'm Katie from Lady Red Crafting, and today I'm sharing 5 beautiful Christmas ornament DIYs to fill your home with cheer. These easy, budget-friendly projects are perfect for adding that personal touch to your Christmas tree. Let's make the season merry, handmade, and full of joy. So I just love this beautiful napkin, and I know it's not technically a Christmas napkin. I thought this would be beautiful for a Christmas ornament. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to flip this over, and I'm going to take a little piece of painter's tape and just remove the back 2 layers of this napkin. Next, I grabbed one of these ceramic ornaments, and I got these on Amazon in a 12-pack, and they were about $15 or $16, so a little over $1.25 an ornament, which I still thought was a really good deal. Next, I grabbed my Mod Podge, and I'm going to go ahead and just paint a nice thick coat over the top of this ornament. Then we're going to let this dry. Now we're going to take a quarter of the napkin that we prepped earlier and lay that right over the top of our ornament. Next, I layer a piece of parchment paper right over the top of our napkin. Now I grab my heat press, or a hot iron on low would work just fine, and you just go ahead and iron that napkin right on top of our ornament. Now I'm going to flip our ornament over, and we're going to repeat the same steps. Starting with our Mod Podge, we're going to paint a nice thick coat over the top of our ornament. Next, we're going to let that dry. Then we're going to layer our napkin with a piece of parchment paper on top, and using our hot iron our napkin onto our ornament. And now that we have decoupage on both sides of our ornament, I'm going to grab my zip sander, or you could use a sanding block if you'd like. And sanding in a downward motion, we're going to remove all of the excess napkin from our ornament. And I really like how elegant this is looking. That ceramic ornament really makes a difference when we're making these ornaments. Now, for my next step here, I am going to be using a really thin brush and some Mod Podge. And I'm going to be adding some Mod Podge on half of the ornament in different layers, just kind of around the flowers. It can be sporadic. It doesn't matter where you're adding this Mod Podge. You want the Mod Podge to be nice and wet still. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this foil paper, and I got this at Ben Franklin, but you can also get this on Amazon or at Hobby Lobby. And I'm just going to start layering some of this gold foil over the top of my ornament. And don't worry if you have extra foil over the top of here, because it's only going to stick in the spots where you have the Mod Podge. Now, once you've let that sit for a minute, I go ahead and come in with my dry brush here, and I'm just going to start brushing off some of that foil from my little ornament. And it's going to just leave this nice little hint of foil all throughout the ornament, and it adds this beautiful sparkle. And then if you want to add any more foil to this ornament, just go back in and repeat the same steps. I used a little bit of Mod Podge, and I'm just going to tap some of those extra pieces of foil right on top of those spots. We'll let that dry for just a moment, and then we're going to grab our dry brush and brush any of the excess off. Once you've let the front side of this ornament dry, we're going to repeat the same steps on the back side of our ornament and then around the perimeter of our ornament. Now here is what our ornament looks like when the foil is complete. I did decide to make this a trio set, so I did 3 ornaments. For my next step, I'm going to be taking my weeding tool from Cricut, but you could use a toothpick or something sharp. And we're just going to re-poke the hole where we've decoupaged over for the ornament, so we have a place to be able to hang our hanger. And before adding our hanger, I did want to seal these ornaments, so I took them outside and using my Mod Podge in gloss, I'm going to go ahead and coat both sides of these ornaments. And now that these are sealed and dried, we're going to go ahead and add some finishing touches. I'm going to start out by taking this gold ribbon, and it's really thin. It's less than 1/4 of an inch. And we're just going to go ahead and make some nice gold hangers. And we could completely stop right here if you'd like, but I really wanted to add just a final little touch. So I had a lace panel in my stash that I got at a thrift store earlier last year, and I've been using it for various different crafts, and so I was able to cut a few little strips off of it, and I made 3 little bows. Next, I came in with some hot glue and I added a bow to each one of our ornaments. Then I added a small gold bow on top of the vintage lace just to give it a little bit more sparkle. And this is the same ribbon that I used for the hanger, so it ties the whole piece together. And now this beautiful trio set of ornaments is ready to display. I just love how these turned out. I think this is my favorite ornament set for the year. And I think these would be a wonderful gift for a hostess or to have on top of a present as a tag. This also would make a really fun ornament party with your friends. So walking through the dollar store, I saw these adorable candle holders and I thought, these I can definitely craft with. So for this craft, I'm going to be using the white and silver little flower here, and we're going to make an adorable poinsettia ornament. So to start out, we need to have a way to hang our ornament. So I am taking this little bail here, and I'm going to use just a little bead of this Fix All super glue from Dollar Tree to attach it to the back side. Now once that has completely dried, I'm going to grab a small piece of floral foam. I'm going to cut it in a piece to fit inside of this little candle holder. And to attach this inside, we will use a little bit of hot glue to make sure everything stays into place. And when you're adding this floral foam in, you want it to be almost flush with the candle holder. Now I'm going to grab some Luxe Metallic White Paint from Delta Creative, and we're going to just paint that over the top of the floral foam so it blends in with our piece. Now I'm going to grab this pick that I had in my stash of these sparkly berries, and I believe I got this from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to start pulling apart some of these berries off of this pick. And then what we'll do here is we're going to take some hot glue and start adding them over our floral foam. And while I have a quick moment, I want to tell you all about this fun playlist I'm a part of, Everything Crafting. I host this every other month with Lisa from Our Gray House. Our guest host this month is Catherine from A Perfect Place to Start. I am so excited about this playlist. The theme this month is Everything Merry. So down in the description box below, there's a link to this playlist where you can see all the wonderful creators and see what they've created. I encourage you to check them out and give them some love. Thank you so much for watching, and now back to our video. Now, once you're satisfied with all of those little silver balls in the center of our flower, I'm going to flip this back over, and using some sheer ribbon, I'm going to make a nice little hanger for our ornament. And now our quick and easy little ornament is complete. This ornament turned out stunning, and it's so easy to make. I am so happy that I was able to transform this candle holder into a beautiful piece, and I can't wait to make a few more to match. Leave a comment down below and let me know what your Christmas tree theme is for this year. I would love to get some ideas of what you guys like on your tree so that I can craft something that you would like to see. Here's a quick and easy way to elevate those wood ornaments from the Dollar Tree. Let's start out by taping down our little ornament to a paintable surface. Then I'm going to grab my apple barrel nutmeg brown paint. I'm going to do a nice coat of paint on both sides of this ornament. Now to get the color brown that I wanted, I did do 2 coats of paint on both sides. Now, once everything has dried, I did grab one of these silk screens that I had in my stash, and these are available on Amazon, and I will put a link for it in my description box below. So I'm just going to lay this silk screen over the top of our ornament. Now, using my chalk paste from Redesign in Vintage Lace, I'm going to squeegee this on top of our ornament. If you haven't done this before, the chalk paste is a lot thicker of a paint. And so you use a squeegee instead of a brush because then you're able to kind of control where the paint is going a little bit easier. This works really well when you're using these silk screens or even just regular stencils. And while everything is still wet, you're going to go ahead and remove that silk screen from our ornament. And I'm just going to pull this off really gently. Then I'm going to take this to a sink and wash it with some soapy warm water. And once everything has dried on our ornament, we'll go ahead and repeat this on the other side. Now, once our ornament has completely dried, I'm going to take this little vintage bow that I made out of some lace, and I'm going to add that to the top of our ornament using some hot glue. And for our hanger, I'm going to be using this cream satin ribbon. And now our vintage gingerbread themed ornament is ready to hang. I just love how this turns out. This is such an easy craft and totally elevates those little ornaments from the Dollar Tree. Let's grab your favorite napkin and some wood star cutouts, and let's make some adorable ornaments for Christmas. So this little napkin here I did find at Home Goods, and I absolutely fell in love with it. The vintage vibe on this is amazing. So to prep our napkin, I used a little piece of painter's tape to help me remove the back 2 layers of this napkin. Now I'm going to grab my Mod Podge, and I am going to paint a nice coat of Mod Podge over the top of these 3 star cutouts. Now, once that Mod Podge has completely dried, I did grab my napkin, and I'm going to cut out a small square to fit over the top of each one of these stars. We do want it to overhang just a little bit. Next, I'm going to lay a piece of parchment paper over the top of all 3 of these stars, and using my heat press, or you could use an iron on the low setting, go ahead and iron on these napkins. This is going to warm up the Mod Podge so that everything will adhere. Now, grabbing my little zip sander, I'm just going to go ahead and sand off any of the excess napkins. If you don't have one of these finger sanders, you can use a sanding block or even an emery board. And once you have all 3 of these stars done, we're going to go ahead and flip them over and repeat these same steps. We're going to add our Mod Podge, let that dry, then go ahead and add our napkins. Now we'll go ahead and lay our piece of parchment paper right over the top and iron those on. Once that is complete, we'll just go ahead and sand off all the excess napkins. And now that we have those 3 stars complete, I did grab 3 little stars that I had in my stash from Dollar Tree last year. And I'm just going to do a quick coat of my chalk paint from Waverly in the color Plaster. And then I'm going to repeat the same steps that we did with the bigger stars and just do a coat of Mod Podge, iron on my napkin, and then sand everything down. We're only doing the front sides of these little stars. Now, once we have all of these stars prepped, I took my Rust-Oleum matte clear enamel and I laid these stars out and took them outside. Next, I just go ahead and I spray a nice clear coat over the top of all of these stars. And once everything was dried, I did flip over the bigger stars and I did the back side on those as well. Now let's go ahead and put everything together. I have these bales here and I got these on Amazon and you can use them for a lot of different things. Here's a quick close-up so you can see what they look like. And I'll put a link for them down in my description box below. So to attach these, I'm using E6000 glue on one of the tips of the stars. And then I'm just going to lay these little bales down on top and let them dry. And what I love about using these bales is it makes the ornament look so high-end. It's such a wonderful way to add a hanger to these pieces. And once this has dried, I'm going to flip these little stars over and we're going to grab some hot glue and hot glue those little stars right to the center of our ornament. Now let's go ahead and add our hanger. I'm using the satin ribbon in cream and it's about 1/4 inch in width. And I'm just going to go ahead and add that to our little bale and tie a knot. And once we have all of our hangers added, I decided that I would like to add a little satin bow to each one of these. This, of course, is completely optional. I just really like having bows on my little ornaments. To attach, I did just use a little bead of hot glue at the tip of each one of the stars. And now our trio set of stars is ready to hang. I just love how these turned out. They have such a fun vintage vibe, but a different look that you would normally not see on a wood ornament. What do you think about these cute little stars? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this content, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you. Don't blink or you'll miss this quick and easy DIY ornament. I absolutely love these little tin stars that you can get at the Dollar Tree. And if you pick up a few of these right now, I believe they're 4 for $1 or 2 for $1, depending on which Dollar Tree you go to. So I'm taking this beautiful ribbon that I did get also at the Dollar Tree in the floral section. I did have to spend the new full price of $1.75, but I still think this was a good deal. And I'm just going to make a beautiful bow. So to do this, I'm just cutting a little bit of my ribbon and I make the shape of a bow. Now, once you've done that, you're just going to squish that in the center. And then I'm going to take a small piece of twine, wrap that around the center, and tie it in the back. Next, you're going to fluff out your bow. And then I went back to my ribbon and I cut a small piece of ribbon off of the roll, a little over 2 inches. This might have been a little bit too long, but this will work for explanation. So now I'm going to just fold that into thirds and I'm going to take that ribbon and I'm going to wrap that around the center of our bow. And to attach that ribbon, I am using a little bit of hot glue and I'm going to let that ribbon overlap only in the back. So you can see I did make this piece a little bit too long. Probably an inch, inch and a half would have been a little bit better for this bow, but I can always come back in and cut the excess ribbon before I glue the last piece down. Now that everything's glued into place, I'm going to turn this back around, do a final fluff. Then I'm going to come in and do a little dovetail end on each one of the tails of my bow. And one thing you might have noticed is that I did leave those twine pieces on my bow. And I did that on purpose because I'm going to come in here and I'm going to take that twine and I'm going to tie that to the twine hanger on this metal star. And I'm able to tie the knot right underneath the knot of where this one is attached, so it stays secure really nicely. Now all we have to do is trim the excess twine and flip over our ornament. And here is our ornament. I love how this turns out. I like it just the way it is, but if you wanted to personalize it a little bit more, you could paint a phrase or use your Cricut machine to put a phrase in the center like Mary or Joy, or add a kid's name. I feel like this ornament is the perfect size for those bigger holes at the bottom of the tree that you need something a little bit larger to fill in. Let me know what you think of this ornament down in the comments below. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope these ornaments bring a little joy and handmade magic to your Christmas. If you enjoyed these projects, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment to let me know your favorite, and subscribe so you don't miss all of the Christmas fun still to come. Wishing you peace, love, and creativity this Christmas season. And as always, please remember, craft more, stress less.